Pray God. Waiting for us from the dark gas sector. Petro bit off the onion and carefully spotted the stranger. Untidy, beaten nose apparently broken. Clothes overseas some. And most importantly, what Petro spotted, chopped off at the elbow and poorly wrapped right hand. Can we stop being silent already? Displeased, pronounced Petro, biting the onion again. The uninvited guest raised his exhausted eyes at him, looked around a little and fell to my knees. Y'all gotta get out of here, he said in a weak voice. Petro poked in his teeth and grinned. Leaving home farm, then rose from the table. Zakir Thai fool to atone our lucky. A strong Cossack came into the room with a fully shaved head and a small tuft in the middle. Strangers tied 2 thick ropes and brought out. The last one was so jaded that didn't even resist, only mouthed and breathed heavily. Road blurred by rain to the nearest major settlement. 35 versts. Alexei Sleeper's young advisor to the governor totally put my hands down. Alexei Vasilievich, do not despair. There are Cossack lands here. Still, let's go there and wait out the bad weather, suggested Van, old humble servant of Sleepers. There aren't any on the map, yawned Sleepers and wrapped up his coat. So find the seeds, then our mulberry, pointed even at the coachman. Village hamlet is close here. The bearded smexy coachman turned to look at Ivan. Used to be nearby, versts 3 away, but before is before, perhaps he is long abandoned. Even looked at the Sleepers. Attempt not torture, let's go there. I waved the whole Prodrogov with a sleeper. Coachman hit the horses, and they slowly dragged through the mud forest. Lukian Kadimov was a bearded and stately man, with his checker, which the Cossack named Maria in honor of her late mother, never broke up. So now he chopped her every object that came under her hand, but also here lay the cursed Petro. Father Ataman, let me apply, started Petro. Onion I unfairly swung a checker and chopped a pumpkin. 1,000 orange entrails scattered across the yard. What should he asked? Wiping a checker. Here it is the very thing. Some fool granted us. Lukian smiled. Are you a Petron? Momentarily lowered his eyes, then continued. Yes, in clothes overseas some. True, beaten all over, and without right hand. Lukian rubbed his mustache. Cripple means. Yes, still slurred phrases throws. They say get out of here. Soon they will come. Lukian removed the checker, came up to Petro. Show me him. 2 lonely resting huts. Ivan could hardly see through the impenetrable downpour. Alexei Vasilievich, away hamlet blessed Ivan, trying to outshout the noise of the downpour. Sleeper Dremel, but even he did not react. Servant gently poked his master with his finger. Sleepers opened his eye. Why do you have a hamlet on the horizon? Ivan looked closely. Abandoned seam. Sleepers sighed unfairly. There was nothing to do. Go get wet and earn yourself pneumonia, or wait out bad weather, albeit in abandon, but at least in a dry place. Come on there, gave the decree of Sleepers. Travelers slowly dragged to the long abandoned hamlet. The rain stopped pouring in the sky. Viciously there was a roar of thunder. Goosebumps ran through the shivering body of the sleeper. But what if they meet some tramps on the farm? Crazy Cossacks or robbers? Have Sleepers business with them? Definitely didn't want to. Old coachman and stupid servant, unlikely to save the Lord from a gang of robbers. In his reflections he did not notice. How did they get to the window huts? Like black, hungry eyes looked predatory at their guests. Old wooden walls covered with moss. The once plowed garden has long overgrown with shrubs and grass. After another thunder roll, Sleeper, accompanied by his small retinue, entered the hut. Poor horses left to get wet outside. Cold and gloom only this, and saw a Sleeper in an abandoned hut. How did I get to this? Doomed, he said, sitting on the rotten floor. How did we get you? Ivan smiled, puzzled. Shut up already, fool, burped Sleepers and lowered his eyes. Seemed thousands. Droplets fall to the floor from the face and hair of Alexei Vasilievich. Ataman looked at the tramp with a grin, whom Petro brought. Poor thing with no right hand collapsed to his knees. If you want to save your life, get out of here. This is cursed lands, whooped tramp. Ghost's smile disappeared from Otaman's face. He leaned over to the tramp, and from all the scope, punched him in the nose. Poor fellow couldn't resist and collapsed, holding a broken nose with your left hand. Scarlet blood dripped on the grass. You dared to call our lands cursed, roared Lukian. In response, the tramp mumbled something illegible, but he did not raise his heads. Petro put him under arrest. We will deal with this son of a bitch. Sleepers could not fall asleep. He was very stressed by the impenetrable darkness of a rotting hut and the snoring of their servants. It seemed even Semyon competed. Who snore who? While the leading position was held by the coachman. And thunder rolling again. Alexei held on, got up and went to the window, rather to rotten window frame. Here cold, nasty raindrops flew unpleasantly in the face. Lightning strike and locally caught on white light. That's when Sleepers saw wooden crosses, standing on the garden site. An unpleasant chill ran through the body. Since childhood, Alexei was afraid of death. He remembered how his elderly grandfather died tyrant, landowner Ivan Ivanovich. Remembered and funeral and wooden cross. And also remembered as Ivan Ivanovich appeared to him in dreams and tried to devour his face though. Cringing, Alexei moved away from the window. Another deafening thunder roll made the Lord look out the window again. Strike lightning shined then. What now stood on the other side of the window and staring hungry at fresh meat. In hollow black eyes, jawline with rotten teeth, bald skull, on which thin white skin peeked through in places, axe in head. You are some kind of evil. Didn't even touch the food today. Drilled a Tamana brain wife Pelagia. Haunts me. This one is armless. Armless Lukianovic was singing and punched on the table. You don't listen to me at all. Well, forgive me. I stood at dinner all day today, and you didn't even touch. Lukian threw a formidable look at his wife. It is useless to talk to you about something. The Cossack grabbed the phone, got up from the table, and went outside. The capital was embraced by a starry night. Cool August air was making it clear that autumn will come soon. Bothered Tamana, that tramp. What is he talking about all day today? Who are they, and when exactly they will come here some questions. Without thinking long, Lukian greedily pulling tobacco smoke, headed to Petr. The downpour kept knocking on the leaky. The roof lightning was sparkling, lighting everything around. They became more and more, and they surrounded their former farm. Yes, what is Mother of God? Shouted, even holding the door. No one ever understood where these dead came from. Travelers realized another. Alive they may not leave. Sleepers greedily swallowing air, crammed into the darkest dry corner. Coachman Seaman Xhale fought off ill-fated guests at the window of a small saber. One of the suicide bombers, while trying to climb through the window, he chopped the brush off. Half rotten, she fell to the floor and immediately got evil to the Sleepers. The gentleman screamed childishly and jumped to his feet and began to trample the dead brush, putting all my strength. Alexei Vasilievich, they will break through here now. Only managed to shout out even how a flimsy wooden door was punched with an axe. Seaman could not fight back anymore. The critters grabbed his both hands and with extraordinary force dragged out the window. There was a hoarse cry, and the coachman disappeared in the night darkness. Further fire cries, filled with fears. Pain blocked the next thunder. At the last moment, the sleeper sees a saber lying on the floor. Semyona old door flies off the hinges and even rushes a crowd of Cossacks. Dead Cossacks. Alexei Vasilievich, sleeper, manages to grab the saber. Father Adaman. He doesn't speak, only with Adaman. They say, and I will talk. Pro-territorial Petro, pointing out the armless tramp. Lucian broke out, grabbed a bottle from under the moonshine, and with all the scope hit her on the head tramp. The bottle scattered, blood drops blossomed floor, and Luciana clothes. Tramp fell, silence reigned. Interrupted the silence by the trembling voice of Petro. You killed it. Lucian threw a furious look at Petro afterwards, again translated the blood-flowing tramp. Squatted down, listened. Not killed, but taught breath to eat alive. Petro breathed out with relief, himself not knowing why he is so worried about a stranger. Blow and splashed black on the face of the sleeper, giving the grave cold and wrought blood. The dead man's head fell under Alexei's feet, continuing to clutch with his jawline. Two more, including Seeds, lost the former human form, were advancing. Alexei Vasilievich, I feel very bad, moaned somewhere behind a bitten and wounded even. Sleeper's swung saber, and the sharp metal stuck in the head of the seaman. X-Bunch stopped, swayed, and continued the offensive. Less of them did not become. There was a hiss outside. Again, a new crowd of devilish creatures will break inside, and Sleepers will become one of them. He did not immediately understand who closed his jaw on his right hand. How pain, creepy cry. Ivan lost human. Image tightly clutched into Alexei's hand. Sleeper, continuing to yell, began to beat his fists on his disheveled head. Once a faithful servant. A cast iron came across my hand. Strike, still strike. A few teeth sprinkled on the floor. Even collapsed with a broken skull. Blood oozed from my mouth, as own, so in Sleeper's. Head refused to think what to do next. Critters were stepping, and all the wounded Sleepers could do, waving a cast iron. And then his look noticed another weapon, axe, who stuck out of the dead's head, no matter how it sounds about dead. Alexei, hitting Ivan crawling up to him with an iron, rushed to the axe. Skull crunched nasty. Axe succumbed. In place of improvised, headdress gaped black hole, from which the white larvae fell. Sleeper, in involuntary, that ruined their home. And then wind-bitten hand. Alexei, having analyzed how Ivan and Semyon went to the next world, swung his axe. You don't understand. They will be here soon, kept moaning stranger. In a few hours of harsh interrogation, he got knocked out and the left eye completely swam. You refused to answer me. Who were you outing, Petro? Stranger, only Prostulo. Petro translated aggressive and at the same time. Okay, enough with him for today. Went to Father Otaman. Onion Yang was smoking a pipe on the porch. Day today was marvelous. Discharged Spelagea in bed, and now the sun is setting, creating an unearthly beauty sunset. The birds sing gorgeous. Away, wagging along the uneven path, were Peter and Zakar, unwittingly smiling, anticipating finally the good news. Adaman came down from the porch and headed towards the Cossacks. Petro's frowning face ruined Luciana's mood at once. Well, already dissatisfied, began Adaman. Have you tried anything? Petro threw a look at Zahar, then looked at Adaman. No, Father Adaman, don't say damn it. Lucian flopped under his feet. Savory grub got white foam on his boots and slowly slid onto the grass. Gonna go talk to that son of a bitch myself. The downpour is finally over. It got cold a lot. Lonely raindrops were hanging and falling from coniferous out. Firs smelled damp and freshness. A weak, milky white mist crept on the ground. The full moon slightly lit up the damp forest with blood. He lost a lot, but it helped. He did not become like them. The hand is more accurate, the rest of the wine, giving discharges pain in the whole body, dizzy and seamed. That white mist enveloped not only forest, but also her. Limping to the nearest stump, Sleeper and carefully crouched. It's wiggled, and now instead of a stump he lies and moans in the wet grass. Wet, damp, and cold. But I did not want to die softly for anything. He's scared of death. Somewhere nearby, there were familiar moans. Branches crunched. The grass rustled softly. The moans were approaching. There were a lot of them. Dead men are up again. Alexei didn't want to get up. Like a harmful child in childhood, refused to wake up in the morning. Only there he could be scolded. And here at stake was his life. Promenov beat dead sleepers rose from the last forces, rushed to run an unknown direction. I repeat your name. Punch under breath, stranger spit blood sleepers. He wheezed sleepers Alexei Vasilievich, counselor to the governor. Onion Yang hatched surprised eyes and became more attentive. Consider a battered victim, as if he didn't believe that the governor's advisor can appear in this form. Brush asked no less surprised Zahar. Yes, why did I cough sleepers? Why would I lie? Cossacks looked over. So it turns out, are you from Metropolitan? With contempt squinting, asked Luke Yang. Yes, dry, bellily answered sleepers. Why in this form? Not hiding surprise, asked by Petro. In response, sleepers only coughed up. With a weak gesture showed his left surviving hand on the window. Blood dripped on the wooden floor. Cossacks like Paul's dogs. At once everyone turned to the window. Nothing is only the first stars. Yes, believe in Fat Moon. The dead whispered with the sleeper. Soon they will come here. They are looking for you, and when they find them... Alexei did not finish talking. Coughed up again. Onion Yen turned pale. Are they really back? Like 10 years ago. Just now behind them. While the Cossacks are pale, how toadstools looked over each other. Sleeper's roar fell face down to the floor. A huge red puddle spread. The poor man's heart could not stand it anymore. About that young counselor, Governor Alexei Vasilievich Oshpalov buried. No one found out and will know. Now he's buried in a field, next to an abandoned wooden bell church. Who have not been beaten for 15 years. Path from church to Stanitsa, long overgrown. Once Zahar and Redbeard Trofim buried the whole. Lukian is Relish, flattened into the ground and slowly headed to the village. Behind him as the leader of the pack ran the rest. The land of the farm shrouded in thick fog. The full moon is like a huge lit up sleeping houses. Pelagia peacefully snapped in a woolen blanket. Lukian knew did not sleep. In my head did not fit. What are they back? Maybe this sleeper is just crazy. Can't be. These are not taken as advisors to the governor. Brushing off under the sofa, Cossack Ataman rose in bed. Wife snorted unfairly. Lukian threw a contemptuous look at her, thinking that she would see him in the darkness, and got out of bed. Moonlight created a kind of illuminated path to the window. It all felt like a dream, disturbing sleep. Lukianov came close to the window, trying to unsee that. What was he so afraid of? No one at all, no one. Only stood in the distance black wrapped forest, in a milky white veil of mist. From afar he resembled death with a scythe. Coffin silence stood on the farm, not foreshadowing anything good. Even the crickets subsided, as if they felt the approaching danger in the form of a crowd. The hungry dead, thirsty only for blood and justice. Justice 10 years ago. Cossack Tamistad was just a giant. Height 2 meters wide, broad shoulders, thick beard. Bogi Spilina, not a Cossack in general. With Lukian, young Podisal, he did not get along from the very beginning. By nature it's mean. Decided Lukian to quietly remove Ostap. Although how do you clean it quietly? If he is like this, here is a boogeyman. No ailment will take. And alone even at night, you will not stab. Not that it was scary for his honor. Number honor Lukian had no from the word at all. Cossack without honor. Was scared for myself. Suddenly this giant will wake up, will wave his fist and Lukian corpse. decided to bribe the Cossacks. He had a familiar local baron, Vasily Sleepers, something like a manager on their lands, governor envoy. Once Lukian saved his life, shielding from the anger of Ostap, it's time to pay back the debt. Naturally, money. Corrupt accomplices agreed to slaughter Ostap. Late night, lured Otoman into a small that served as a meeting place and stabbed with checkers. There was a lot of blood. Very much seemed in the rest it did not end. Covered in holes with no hand. Bleeding, he was still alive and swore revenge. Control kick made by young Cossack Petro, or rather 2 controls, demolished the floor of the head. Galling the brain of the stab turned out only from the second blow. Finally the Fog fell dead. Descent from the new Cossacks, driven into the same hut and burned. 2 years later, the Zil Sleepers went to the capital, where he died. Lukian became Cossack Ataman instead of Ostap. He didn't even suspect. What curse did his predecessor put on them? Petro didn't sleep. Cossack with undisguised fear stood and looked out the window. Fog captured him. Hamlet. Strange human outlines were getting closer. Heart Peter was pounding. He was the only one this night on the Hamlet. Of course, to the nearest couple of steps, but go out into the darkness. Announce the farm he really did not want. Petrov kept trying to see the human silhouette in the fog approaching closer to the farm, when suddenly something terrible disappeared to the window. Instead of eyes, black holes. Lower jaw is missing. Rotten bitten tongue dangling. Someone scraped the door. There was a human howl outside the windows, armed with a checker. Petro stared stupidly towards the door, which was no longer scraped, but tried to knock out. The only thing Petro was hoping for: help fellow Cossacks. When the door flew out and glass fragments fell from broken windows, reflecting moonlight and grinning rotten teeth, help never arrived. And tale giving grave cold and hatred echoed in his head. Pelagia looked with horror as the dead surrounded the farm. Lukinov armed with a checker and gave his wife an axe with an ordered look. They say you will fight back yourself. Lukianushka, my dear, what to do then? Panicked Opalage. Pray to God that we live until the morning. Pelagia only burst into tears in response and threw the axe aside. Lukian threw a look at the axe, then transferred to a tearful wife. Here you go, stay here, bitch. And I want to live. With those words, Cossack Ataman opened the door into the night darkness and rushed outside. Hit, and the head of one of the dead men flew into the grass. Another beat, and rotten organs fell out of the dead man's belly, even without a couple dead. Previously tried to climb into the house, turned around and rushed in his direction. They didn't need the Pelagia. The village was swarming with dead. Trying to find a way out, Lukian wandered to the old church, not far from which, together with the Cossacks, buried Sleepers. Dead as if under hypnosis, slow steps chased Otoman. At one point, from under the ground, pale, with black full of dirt nails, appeared hand. There's a head behind her. Cold, sparkling red lights look. Lukian recognized Spalova. One checker with a crowd of dead could not cope, even royal, armed to the teeth guardsmen. What is there to talk about Lukiana, who has been cutting only vegetables with a checker for the past 5 years? Nothing better came up. Unhappy, Cossack Ataman rushed into an abandoned wooden church, hoping for God's salvation. Huge, rotten, moss-covered wooden gates were long broken. There's even a couple icons left inside. The dead holy place did not stop. All of them after each other started walking into church, continuing to chase poor Lukiang. And here he is already like a mouse cornered, with a bunch of grave darkness and cold surrounding it. In the crowd, Lukian sees Petro Sleeper, who became part of the whole darkness. Nothing better came up with Lukian. Grabs a peeling icon from the floor, throws himself to his knees and tries to recite a prayer. It didn't save him from pain. Pierced body bites of dead men. It's ripped apart. until there is nothing left of Luke except for swallowed bones. For the first time in 10 years, a smile came through on the face of Cossack. He sketched flesh, was able to get out of his raw pit, and can again manage the village of Cossacks, dead Cossacks. But the mission has not yet been completed. Somewhere in the woods, scared half to death, lost Cossack saw Gay. Native blood of traitor. The Cossacks have already gone behind her, and then the justice of Otaman will be done. But you were proud. I see the result. Breathless your corpse they did not spew to hell. Waiting for us from the dark gas sector.